What if your city could fund huge public projects, things we all use, but without raising taxes? Well, there's a new crypto trend that's promising exactly that. It's called CityCoins, and it is grabbing headlines for one very, very big reason.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. In just the last couple of months, search interest, public curiosity in CityCoins has exploded by over 900%. This isn't just some slow burn, it's an absolute wildfire. And of course, that makes you ask a really important question.
Are we really looking at the future of how cities pay for things? A genuine urban crypto revolution? Or is this just another hype-fueled bubble? A speculative trap just waiting to spring on unsuspecting investors. Let's dig in and break it all down.
Okay, so to really get a handle on all this hype, we've got to go back to the fundamentals. What in the world is a CityCoin?
At its core, a CityCoin is a cryptocurrency that anyone in a community can choose to mine. But, and this is the big twist, a slice of that mining activity, a percentage of the rewards, gets automatically sent to a specific city's crypto wallet. It creates this totally new kind of passive revenue stream for public spending. The whole funding cycle is actually pretty straightforward. First, you've got community members who are mining the coin, which supports the network. Second, a fixed 30% of those mining rewards goes straight into the city's digital wallet. You can almost think of it like an automated crypto donation or tax. And finally, the city can take those funds and use them for actual, real-world projects.
And look, this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. This is happening. The biggest example so far, MiamiCoin, has already generated over $10 million for the city of Miami. And they're using it for things like keeping beaches clean, funding scholarships, real civic initiatives. It's a tangible result, and believe me, it is turning a lot of heads.
So, Miami's success is definitely a huge part of the story, but it's not the only reason we're seeing this massive boom right now. It seems like a few key catalysts have all lined up at the perfect time to create this incredible surge of interest.
There are a few big forces at play here. In the US, you've got a much friendlier policy environment that's really opening the door for this stuff. At the same time, over in the EU, their new MiCA regulations, that's the Markets in Crypto Assets framework, are creating a really clear, regulated path for these kinds of tokens. Then you throw in Miami's headline-grabbing success, and suddenly it's no surprise that over 50 other cities around the world are looking into launching their own coins. Now, all this global interest is creating two very different models for how CityCoins are actually being put into practice, and it's mainly splitting along the lines of the United States versus the European Union. And this table just lays out the philosophical divide perfectly. The US approach? It's the classic crypto Wild West. It's driven by deregulation, and it leads to these high-risk, high-reward projects that everyone hopes will be moonshots. The EU, on the other hand, is being way more cautious. Theirs is a regulation-led approach. They're focused on safer, compliant, bank-issued stablecoins that promise more predictable, lower-risk returns. It's two totally different paths to pretty much the same goal.
But of course, with all this explosive potential comes an equal amount of risk. We have to be really clear-eyed here and balance the incredible promise of this technology with some of its very, very real dangers.
The two sides of this coin are stark. This is where you really see the divide. The bull case is absolutely massive. Proponents are talking about a potential trillion-dollar market, a revolutionary way to tokenize cities and fund real-world assets like parks and infrastructure, all without new taxes. But the bear case is just as compelling. These are wildly volatile assets. 90% drops aren't just possible, they've literally happened. They're also super vulnerable to sudden regulatory crackdowns that could just wipe out their value overnight. And then you have that classic crypto risk of pump and dump schemes, right? Where insiders inflate the price and then cash out, leaving everyone else holding a worthless token.
So it's a really high-stakes game. The potential for huge civic rewards is there, but so is the potential for huge personal losses. And all of that brings us to the final thought. As this trend just keeps picking up speed and more cities get on board, the question really becomes less about if this is happening and a lot more about when. So you have to wonder, will your city be next?